Good morning, everyone. I am Michael Brown, and this is the 2015 State of the College Address. And we are so pleased to have everyone here in the room with us at the Bioscience Education Center on the Germantown campus. We also want to say hello to everyone watching remotely, either online or on Montgomery College Television. Now, Dr. Pollard is going to speak first, but after she is done, she will be taking questions. You can email those questions to stateofthecollege@montgomerycollege.edu. So without further delay, it is my pleasure to introduce the president of Montgomery College, Dr. DeRionne Pollard.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think that if I could just listen to Michael talk all the time. Didn't he have the best voice? Thank you all so much for that warm welcome, and I'm so delighted that you chose to be here in this space, and those of you who are joining us remotely online or watching MCTV, we're delighted to have you here as well. The intentionality here is for me to deliver a State of the College is where we are right now and some future initiatives, and then if we do this very well and time it accordingly, we will have an opportunity for some interaction and questions and dialogue from the audience, but also from an online audience. I want to acknowledge, I have to do this. I would not be a good employee if I didn't. I have three of my bosses here who are right in front of me. I'd like to welcome our trustee chairman, Mr. Reggie Felton, our second vice chair, Mr. Mike Knapp, and obviously our longtime and loving Miss Gloria Aparicio Blackwell. All three are here today, and I also have my beloved here who's to make sure that I don't get too boring. She suggested that if I get a little boring, she's going to do something special so that I'll know that. So I'm hopeful that we have this under control, but thank each of you for choosing to be here. I'm going to go ahead and jump in very quick because Montgomery College has had a truly exceptional year in the last several months. In fact, we've been doing some, I think, very transformative work in our community, and we have suddenly been catapulted to the limelight by President Obama's America's Promise, where he has suggested that the first 2 years of community college should be free for high school graduates. In fact, this has brought a lot of attention to community colleges nationally and certainly to Montgomery College because we were in the forefront of many of the major announcements, and a lot of news venues came to us to seek our feedback. And although this plan has not moved to reality yet, we're going to hold a lot of hope for that. It has made a lot of people look at the value of community colleges. People are spending a lot of time trying to figure out exactly what we do and how we do it. And what's very important about that, they're looking very specifically at our roles around workforce development and looking at how that and our role affects economic progress of this country. At Montgomery College, a lot of people are asking, what are you doing to advance the workforce in this county? They want to know more about our transfer programs. They want to know more about our partnerships with industry. They're also asking very specific programs about how we grow our scholarship programs. They're asking how we partner in ways to really transform the community. They know that we're listening to industry because industry is telling us very clearly that community colleges are doing something right. In fact, many of them are saying that community colleges serve our needs better than four-year institutions as it relates to workforce development. Now, all of this attention is terrific. It's nice to have people looking at you and appreciating the work that you do, but I'm also extremely proud about this organization because we know that we're doing exceptional work each and every day in this space. We're working diligently, and it's nice to have people kind of looking at you for the things that you've been doing already out of the limelight, and now they're bringing you into the limelight to understand more fully how that works. But I would tell you, and this is a very interesting thing, when attention is focused at you, you have to be ready to stand up and respond to that. And I'm aware that as an institution, we're doing what we've always been doing. We're meeting the community where we are. We're trying to transform the community and help them go to where they want to do. But if I look back and reflect on this last year, it's a very interesting moment for us. We have to think very deeply about our students. And it's exciting to see our students going and doing some outstanding things on these individualized pathways. We see our students building their relationship with the institution, finding access to resources. And I'm so inspired when I look at our faculty, when I hear about the creativity that they're bringing to the classroom, the excitement, the knowledge, the subject area competence each and every day. meeting students where they are, and helping them reach educational goals that so many of us are hopeful that they will have. This is what's happening in our classrooms each and every day at Montgomery College. I'm also impressed by our administrators and our staff who work diligently to support what's happening in the classroom and do it in ways that many of us often don't know. But they do it with resourcefulness, they look at efficiencies, and they're trying to figure out how we can help this organization maximize its potential. I'm really struck when we look across the institution as a whole at some very key things about how much we have been able to accomplish together as an organization. It's actually rather remarkable when you think about that. You think about the enormous ranges of disciplines and programs of study we have at Montgomery College. When you think about 7 administrative units, 3 campuses, multiple workforce development sites and community engagement centers. When you think about the ways in which we have penetrated the community, it's amazing to me. So you all used to talk about me for using the word phenomenal so much. I'm on the roll of amazing now because it actually is pretty amazing. And each of these microcosms of Montgomery College and all these different places has their own goals, they have their own momentum. But what's very intriguing to me about this is that we have to look at these things, which my job is as the college president, to look at it from the 30,000-foot view, to be thinking very thoughtfully about how all of these things work together for the institution. But I know, more than anything else, I know that there's one common thing that holds us together as an institution. And it's not surprising to any of you, you all know that. Our belief that student success matters. That's the glue that holds us together as an institution. Regardless of roles, regardless of location, we all know that student success matters. Now, how we understand student success may be different based on where we sit within the institution. For many of our students, it's moving out of developmental courses. For others, it's transferring to 4-year institutions. For many of our students, it's setting their sights on certificates so they can go into work immediately and transform their family. For others, it's learning to speak English so that they can go out and secure an economic reality for their family and have career mobility. Some of our students come to us wanting a degree, while many of others come to us and focus on personal development. I love walking across the campus sometimes, either one of them, any of them, all during the day, and you'll meet people from all walks of life who come. The other day, I just thought about this. I saw this woman walking, and she stopped me. "You're the president, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I'm 83 years old, and I'm taking a women's studies course and a literature class." And she said, "Oh, I just love it. I just keep thinking, why didn't I do this before?" Isn't that I just think that's awesome. I said, "Well, you take as many classes as you like at Montgomery College," because she was you could just see it coming out of her experiences. The breadth of experiences, the range of things that we have at Montgomery College truly makes this organization special and remarkable. Now, despite all of this value and all of the commitment that I know that each and every employee has to the students that we serve and the community of which we're a part, we know that this is a crucible moment right now for our county. There are a lot of things happening, and I would offer to you that our county needs us now more than ever. But we also know that Montgomery College faces some budget challenges right now, and some significant ones. As you know, I have made employee compensation and benefits my #1 priority as it relates to the budget request that we've submitted to our county executive. In fact, we've asked the county executive for $11.8 million toward this end. And I think that's an important thing to say. I've said in a couple places, Montgomery College, we are here to empower people to change their lives and to enrich the life of the community. We don't build widgets, we don't build light bulbs, we're here to help people. And that's a very important thing that can't be lost. Our employees are the lifeblood of this institution. You're the ones who ensure the students are successful. You're the ones who are carting students around all around this region. You're the ones writing letters of recommendation, working in centers. We know, though, that when our students are successful at Montgomery College, when they're able to secure work after their studies here, we know that this is helping this county and is fueling the economic progress of Montgomery County. So the county executives proposed a $3 million recommendation. We're very grateful to him that he was able to do that. But we asked for $15 million in new money. So we are a little bit short of that goal. I know. We're the math people in the room, right? I don't even think I could call Miles for that one. He probably could say, Mama, there's a problem here. And we know it's not what we hoped for, but the process is not over. And I think this is a very important point. I'm going to continue each and every day as I do to fight for resources and work with our county council to make sure that our elected officials understand the value. But I also know that I'm not going to be doing that alone. The county council will be holding public sessions on the week of April 13th, and in particular, our board chair is going to be testifying in front of the county council on April 15th. On April 16th, we have students who are going to be doing that, and alumni, people who know the value of what Montgomery College brings to this community. And the weeks ahead, the board members and I will be visiting with our elected officials at the county council to make the case for Montgomery College and the resources that we need to do the work that we do. We're going to be representing the institution, representing the vision of what we believe this institution can and should be doing, and we're going to be talking about the success of our students. And that's a very important point. Our best product, our best advertisement are the students whose lives that we touch, and we're going to be telling that and showcasing. In fact, there's a way that each and every one of you can help in that process. We have the great ability to tell our own story. So we've crafted a website, and it's a landing page right off of our college website you can go to, MC Works For Me. And we have a dedicated spot on our website where you can see them. You can see these student stories in their own voices, talking about the value of Montgomery College and how MC works for them. You can also participate in this by forwarding this page, using vignettes. I've seen a couple people capture them and try to put them on their various Twitter and other accounts. You can also use a hashtag, MCWorksForMe. Talk about our story. Tell people about what we're doing in the community and how we're impacting lives. It's a way for you to participate and to spread the word about Montgomery College. There's a way that social media can be used in lots of different ways. Here's a way to use it to turn this county purple from time to time. And that's what we need to be doing, thinking about Montgomery College and the value that we bring. So despite this budget news, I had to get that out, right? I would not be talking about the state of the college if I didn't talk about the budget. But I also think that this is a very powerful moment that we're in as an institution. I'm focusing on our strengths and looking at where we're going to be going in the future for this organization. It's become very clear to me that there is a focus that we need to have on two very interdependent goals, two issues that are truly significant to the vitality and well-being of our community. One being workforce development, and the other is closing the achievement gap. Now, you've been hearing a lot about these issues, and these two issues are fundamental not only because it affects the success of our students, it is also about the success of our community as a whole. There's a mutuality to this, there's a connectedness, there's a dependency on our students and our community understanding the value that we bring as an institution. On a larger scale, I've begun to see how these issues have impacted community colleges nationwide. This is a conversation that everybody keeps saying workforce development, economic progress equals community colleges. They're talking about this over and over again because they're understanding the vital role that we're playing in our nation's recovery. Now, several events over the last year have really encouraged me to focus some thought and attention on these issues. Certainly, President Obama's proposal regarding community colleges is one. That was a game changer. I'll tell you that very clearly. The fact that you have Washington, D.C., and the president talking about these issues might suggest that this is a little bit bigger than just us as an institution. I know the world revolves around Montgomery College and Montgomery County, but when you have folks talking about these issues at a national level, I think it suggests that we're a part of something bigger than ourselves. The progress of our nation depends on the success of community colleges. And Americans are starting to understand just how significant this is, that we won't meet our 2020 educational goals as a country without community colleges. We simply can't do it. In fact, we won't regain our STEM dominance that we've had internationally without community colleges. We also know that we won't be able to educate the next generation of people who are already being left behind without community colleges because they can't afford 4 years of tuition at a 4-year college university at the cost that the escalation factors are bringing in right now. My friends, I would offer to you that there is both a moral and an economic imperative to the mission of community colleges. We exist for a reason right now. It is a moral and economic imperative that we actualize the totality of our mission as an organization. And data from the past year suggests that there is a crucible moment that's right here, right now, and a newfound, profound urgency for the work that we're doing as a community college. Wealth inequality has continued to widen along racial and ethnic lines over during the last recession. I'm going to read some of this data because I think it's compelling, and you'll see some of it reflecting on the screen here. A Pew Research study shows that the median wealth of white Americans grew 2.4% over 4 years ending in 2013. It grew by 2.4%. In that same period of time, median wealth of African Americans dropped by 34%, and Hispanics dropped by 14%. Now, these are big numbers, and we're not just talking about little numbers. These are huge numbers. We're talking about economic realities of people. Now, we know for a fact that there's less cushion for some of the most vulnerable before us in our community than it was before the recession. In 2013, 10% of white people lived in poverty. 24% of Hispanics did, and 27% of African Americans did. So we all know that there is going to be a reality check. And when there's a squeeze on jobs, those people with the least amount of education tend to get the most low-paying and low-wage jobs that there exist. As President Obama has said many times, 2/3 of jobs, of all jobs in the future, will require some college education. So that's why, in my opinion, closing the achievement gap is not just a moral imperative, a social justice issue, it is an economic imperative for our county, for our state, and dare I say, for the globe. And it's more urgent than ever that we have the courage to address these issues as an institution. That African American and Hispanic students are succeeding not at the same levels and rates as other groups is a social problem, but as I said, is an economic problem. And quite possibly, we know that this will become a generational issue because it affects not only that particular individual, but it affects all the people in the family of these students. Now, since the U.S. Census predicts, this is an interesting fact, that whites will no longer be the majority race by 2043, it impacts the broader economic recovery of the United States. What's even more interesting about that, as a nation, we don't have the luxury of allowing this achievement gap to exist. We simply don't have the luxury of allowing that to exist. Now, what's interesting about this demographic shift, by 2043, the country is going to have this. Montgomery College already became this reality in 1997, when we had no majority race at Montgomery College. So we are already a reflection of America in miniature. I'd also offer to you that the urgency of this has to be rooted in job recovery. Economists have described this recovery as, quote, uneven. There have been a fair amount of recovery of low-wage jobs, and there's been a fair amount of recovery of high-wage jobs. But the middle has been very, very slow in recovering. So that makes our students even more vulnerable as an institution, because without a degree or certificate, they will not be competitive for work that will allow them to empower themselves and their families. That's why the college's mission can't simply be one of focusing on achievement and completion without coupling it to workforce development. Y'all catch that? You have to put those issues together. Our students have to be prepared for the work that exists right now, and they have to have the skills to be successful in these work environments. And we've been focusing on workforce development with renewed energy here at the college for the last several years because we've seen this trend evolving. Those of you who've been watching the trade papers, been listening to national discourse, this has been something that's been evolving for quite some time. Private industry and the Labor Department has said that education and training that is tightly tied to industry needs prepare students best for the work and for skilled employment. So again, you have to tightly couple what is happening in skills development with that that's happening in industry to allow our students to be competitive for the skilled workforce. Now, y'all probably thinking, this is what we do. That's what Montgomery College does. Community colleges specialize in this type of work. We understand our mission, and we are tightly coupled and partner with business and industry. But when the White House starts messaging about this, community colleges, workforce development, this is kind of becoming a very big thing. If you look at what's happening in our state, Maryland is open for business, right? This is an issue that we have to be thinking about very deeply. Now, you may have noticed that if the White House is doing it, Montgomery College is right in the middle, right? So the last several months, we've had multiple visits to Montgomery College from federal agencies. In fact, 2 delegations came from the Department of Education to our Rockville campus and one of our workforce development sites. We also had the U.S. Secretary of Labor, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce visit our Germantown campus right here in this very room, as a matter of fact, when we were to praise the work that we're doing with our $15 million TAC grant to build capacity in cybersecurity and information technology. They came here to us because they know the work that we're doing and wanted to celebrate that. Interestingly enough, by the way, the Pentagon just announced last month that they are fast-tracking 3,000 new cybersecurity positions. Fast-tracking 3,000 positions. So I'm thinking, we might be onto something right here, right? And think about the advantage that's going to give our students when they're able to go out and be competitive in the workforce. But it's not just the feds who are interested in Montgomery College and what we're doing. In the last 2 months, I've testified on workforce development in front of the Montgomery County Council, the state legislature in Annapolis. I also participated on several workforce panels for the National Academy of Sciences, who are looking at this issue and looking at the pipeline into science, Montgomery Moving Forward, and the American Association of Community Colleges, all interested and engaged around this work of workforce development and what Montgomery College is doing. So they all wanted to say, what are we doing, right? They're asking that question. But what I like to think is probably implicit in that exploration is, how can we get others to replicate what's happening right here in our institution across this country? This is one of the reasons that we created the comprehensive workforce development report in February and presented that to the members of the community. I would offer to you, we actually have copies of it here today. If you didn't get a copy of it, we would love for you to have that. There has been much interest in our work around workforce development that we pulled this into one document so that everyone would have the opportunity to see how we as an organization are responding to the workforce issues of our community. This is a great resource, and we're using it to communicate our commitment to workforce development, but also talking about our work with potential partners, because one of the linchpins of successful workforce development relationships are the partnerships we have with the entities who invest in this organization. Medical clinics, for instance, can look at the report and see our 100% passage rate for our students taking the board exam and medical sonography, 100%. This is a category that is expected to grow by 46% in the next 7 years. I guess they got a job, right? Somebody should have walked in, you got a job, you got a job, you got a job, right? Because they all got a job. If you think about this, hospitals would also be interested in knowing that our surgical technology program last year had a 100% pass rate on those students who took the national certification exam, 100%. And all of those students found full-time employment. All of them found full-time employment. When we talk to some of our 350 bioscience companies in Montgomery County. We can point to the 25 wet labs here at the Germantown campus, preparing people to move into industry. And when we talk to startup companies in Montgomery County, we can tell them that our training facilities and our training programs utilize, I want to say this the correct way, the official Good Manufacturing Practices standard. That means something to people besides me, but it means something. It means that we're relevant as a community college, right? These innovative programs complement several large grants that we've received from the National Science Fund. I got to meet our new STEM grant person. Where's she at? I got to meet her a little bit earlier, 6 months on the job. I said, I got high expectations for you because we've been doing pretty good with our NSF grants. So we have these, the National Science Foundation has been working with us specifically, and we have 47 transfer agreements with four-year colleges that allow our collaboration so that our students are able to benefit from the partnerships that we have in these spaces and to help students move into future jobs in STEM. This video clip, I think, will capture that well.
The On-Ramp to STEM project is a NSF-funded project. It provides students from underrepresented groups to go to school full-time and thus facilitate Montgomery College's ability to put students into the STEM pipeline.
This internship has really allowed me to get back in the lab and be able to go out into the workforce with brand new skills.
They get to work with amazing scientists doing cutting-edge research that is valuable, that can be incorporated in papers or presentations.
With the experts and the professors and what they've taught me, I feel confident to be a leader in the clinical trial medical field.
This grant's going to enable so many students to realize those endless possibilities in cybersecurity.
You get to work with what you see in the field, the latest technology, and because it is maturing so quickly, they'll be able to use that money to tech refresh and be familiar with that and up to speed as you go out into the workforce.
Going to connect today's job seekers and students with jobs that we know exist right now here in Maryland.
MC provide me a solid science foundation for me to transfer to MIT.
I'm a first-year transfer student at Georgia Tech. Without MC, I don't think that I will be ready.
The biggest thing that I have gained outside of scientific knowledge is like really confidence. You know you can do it.
These partnerships what I love about this video is it captures that these partnerships have done something very important in particular. They've provided pathways for traditionally underrepresented populations to move into STEM fields and have some extraordinary advances in that work. What I also love about that video is that it is our students who are going out and representing the best of what we have. You know, the irony, we oftentimes get called by our state about when we haven't done something right. I love we got our PAR report that we submitted. They wrote us back to respond to specific questions, and they asked us, normally they'll say, well, why didn't you do this, or how come you didn't do that? This, they said, tell us why you're doing so well in STEM at Montgomery College. Write us about that. So we're writing that. We wrote them about our success in that. So while many of our students go directly into laboratory work and secure jobs, allowing them to transform their family's economic realities, others use our programs as a jumping off point to move into higher education so they can move to become our nation's future scientists and who are going to find cures for any types of things, who are going to build bridges that will transform our world. In 2013, over 5,000 students with 12 or more credits transferred to four-year institutions from Montgomery College, like several of the students that we just saw in this last video. I think that you can see that without our articulation agreements that align our coursework with that of a four-year transfer institution and these NSF grants that are providing financial resources to our programs and to our students, we would not have come as far as we could as an institution without that. So we need more of it because our students demand it, our community expects it, and dare I say, again, it is an economic imperative that we do that. One of the lessons that we've learned about strong workforce development programs is a point that I always like to emphasize. Partnerships multiply your impact. Partnerships multiply your impact. The work that you just saw here is a reflection of that. Our nursing program, though, is tightly coupled with our medical community here to meet the needs of local hospitals. Our cybersecurity program has mapped its curriculum to federal standards to allow our students to have real-life experiences. And our college's auto repair training program is approved by the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence. I was going to say the whole name correctly, so that we can expand quickly to offer programs like the L3 hybrid electric vehicle certification that's required. That's an excellent program, I see that, all right. We're currently constructing facilities to teach solar panel installation and repairs to wind technology. All programs that industry has told us that they need trained workers for. So we know that the demand for clean energy by our community is something that we're responding to by preparing a skilled workforce to step into that space. And in bioengineering, we routinely offer classes suggested by our industry partners, such as the Clinical Trials Management Program that you saw on the video before. By keeping up with the latest advances in workforce, we're preparing our students to step into industry, but we're also preparing skilled workers to meet industry needs and also allow those families to have a reality that they may not have had otherwise, all of which fuels the local economy. I like to think of that at Montgomery College, we're making taxpayers. And as somebody who just got done paying her taxes, we know that that's an important thing to do. Our Workforce Development and Continuing Education Department is training students for jobs in our community that are open right now. The students can step into them and make a change reality. Now, demand in the technical trades is growing quickly, so quickly that students are going directly from our classroom into work, literally, and sometimes being recruited while they're still in our classes. Get the certification, get the degree, come to our job. The workforce development graduate you're going to see in the next video learned about our program by attending a presentation by the Montgomery County Housing Opportunities Commission. Abdel Soul enrolled in the Maryland Integrated Basic Education and Skills Training, or as we like to affectionately call that, MyBEST program, and now he is gainfully employed as a result of this program, and as you're also here, has career aspirations that would not have been possible without this program.
My name is Abdel So. I'm from Ivory Coast, and I came here in 2010. My mom was here before, and she's an athlete, so she applied for me and my brother and my daddy, so the whole family. I was trying to go back to school, and then because I'm coming from a foreign country, you speak French there, so you have to work on the English first. So when I came here, I went to school in Montgomery College to learn English. I'm still struggling to speak English, but I'm trying to improve that, so that was a very big accomplishment for me.
After spending some time in Montgomery College's ESL classes, Abdel went to work first as a stocking clerk at a major retailer, and then worked some construction jobs. But he wanted more.
Because I was trying to be an electrician, but I couldn't afford it.
So when he heard about the MyBEST version of the CAMT, or Certificate for Apartment Maintenance Technician program at Montgomery College, he saw opportunity. The program integrates basic skills like English and math with the CAMT content, so it was a perfect fit.
I graduated from a CAMT, Certification of Apartment Maintenance program, last year in 2014. Before, I want to say I was living with the minimum wage. And then now, after the program, when I graduated, I could find a job, I got a good job and good pay too. So there's a big difference because it's helped me a lot. The company that I am now, they're trying to finance me. They want me to go back to school and try to get more certification. So that's what I'm trying to do now. I want to say thank you, first of all, because that was a big opportunity for me. It's changed my life because coming from another country is very hard. I mean, it's very difficult to find a good job here if you don't go to school. So this program was free, so it was a really good opportunity for me.
Transforming lives, one student at a time, impacting one family at a time. Many of you already know about the college's workforce development strengths. But when I went to the county council and testified last month, I think it was last month or February, I was astounded by the number of people, and Trustee Knapp, I was kind of starting to feel some kind of way about this, but I had to calm myself down. They kept saying, I didn't know the college did that. The college does that? Wow, the college does that. I didn't know that. And I keep thinking, we've been around since 1946. And somebody didn't know that we did these types of things. So it left me with the impression that we don't talk enough about what we do as an institution to support workforce development in this county. Because if I hear one more time, we're the best kept secret in Montgomery County, y'all know secrets are corrosive. So we want to make sure that people understand what we do and the value. So I encourage you to think and to talk and to act and let people know the vital role that we play as an institution in the lifeblood of this county. Because the more connections the college makes between investing in the college and investing in the future of this county, I think there's more impact that we can have and make the case about why we need the money that we need to do the work that we do. I also want to remind you, though, don't feel people in the humanities, I know some of them in the room, y'all don't get out of this either. Because as a humanist, as an English professor by training, I would tell you this, we do workforce development too. We just don't call it that. And some of us feel a little some kind of way when we say that. But the reality is we're doing workforce development. If you are a faculty member in history, English, the arts, communication, you're teaching analysis and reasoning skills that are required by employers. They talk about this all the time. They need our students to be able to communicate effectively. If you teach a writing class, right? We know, for example, you are training students in probably one of the most important job skills that they will ever have, because they have to be able to communicate effectively. And if you are an ESOL professor, you already know that 9,000 students came to Montgomery College last year to learn English. 9,000 students. So I can almost guarantee you, those students who are in those ESL classes, they were there because they wanted to learn English so they can get a better job. That's workforce development. An important thing for all of us to keep in mind. Our Global Humanities Institute, for example, won a $500,000 extremely competitive grant from the National Endowment of Humanities because it is training interdisciplinary thinkers, people who can think across lines. These are the students who may go into diplomacy. Lord knows we need some good ones, right? Government or journalism. These are all the things we need. You may not be calling this workforce development, but it is. It's all workforce development. Just to give you an idea about how the humanities are working this way, let's look at a video from our Smithsonian faculty fellows who are raising students' interest in humanities.
The Smithsonian Faculty Fellowship is a really wonderful opportunity for our faculty. In the springtime, we go down to the Smithsonian. We meet with curators and education staffers who really work with our faculty to help them to know what museum or exhibit or several exhibits may support the work of the faculty that year. The faculty come from across the college. They come from all disciplines, and that's actually one of the most powerful forces that we have working for us is this cross-disciplinarity.
Collaborative work. We helped each other, we learned from each other, and I think that form of collaboration must inevitably continue.
And in the fall, the faculty are actually working with their classes, and they will implement. They have new assignments, new lesson plans, they work with their students, and the students actually come down to the Smithsonian. Each one of those visits is a remarkable opportunity for our students to grow.
It's like we get to go on a field trip in biology, you know what I mean? So that's like super cool.
My job or my challenge essentially is to make the students like biology. I developed a three-pronged approach program, one of which was to go to the Native American Museum, the landscape outside there, and study medicinal plants.
As a student, you want to make sure that whatever you're learning, it makes you excited. Going to the Smithsonian, it lends more of a real feeling to it, that you can use it in real world and other places.
Just learning in a different environment, I think, is really going to help everybody just open up more and want to learn more and better, I think.
Students who've been in classes taught by our Smithsonian Faculty Fellows are engaged more deeply. They write more effectively. They have deeper critical thinking skills. They are questioning what they see, and they want to do more of it, which of course we know is going to translate into more effectiveness, both in transfer institutions and in the workforce.
You could see active class participation that I don't normally see in my class, so I think was invaluable. It's an invaluable experience that I would never forget.
I keep thinking I need to go back and take a biology class. If I had that class, I might be a scientist. Every time I walk in this building, I keep thinking, wow, if I just had these facilities, I might have been a scientist, right? So to be clear, workforce development is an economic imperative in 21st century institutions of higher education. It is something that we have to embrace readily. Our students need job-ready skills. They need to go and prepare into the workforce for careers that are changing dramatically and rapidly all around us right now. At the same time, we have to continue our efforts to close the achievement gap within higher education. Historic initiatives like America's College Promise, I mean, this is a groundbreaking, game-changing piece of legislation proposed. It will not serve our community if all of our students are not achieving. Closing the gap, I believe, and this is something that I think comes from a deeply professional and personal place, is the moral imperative of our generation. While previous generations had to fight for access to higher education, our generation, our institution in this space, in this place right now, has to have an imperative around success and ensuring that every student who comes into our classroom is able to leave fully prepared and successful. Now, I have to give you a little bit of historical context for this because I think that it gives us an understanding of how we arrived at this space and place right now in American higher education. Major national legislation around higher education frequently occurs during moments of economic crises in our country. You can almost chart it each and every time. The Morrill Act, which is named after Senator Justin Morrill, which created public land-grant institutions in 1862, was signed by President Lincoln 1 year into the Civil War. 69 colleges and universities were funded by these grants, and they include institutions like MIT, Cornell University, and the University of Maryland at College Park. Millions of Americans suddenly had access to public higher education in ways they'd never had before, but people of color were not among them. This is an important point to keep in mind. It wasn't until the second iteration of the Morrill Act in 1890 that states were required to admit all students, regardless of race or ethnicity, or build separate institutions for them. Hence, you saw the rise of historically black colleges and universities where you created a pathway to higher education for primarily African Americans in this country. Another famous piece of educational legislation was the GI Bill of 1944. This was also an attempt to create access, but it really stunted that in a lot of ways. The Servicemen's Readjustment Act gave millions of Americans returning from World War II access to higher education at publicly funded institutions. Part of this, though, was to prevent a looming unemployment crisis that was brewing in the country at that time. Crisis, legislation regarding academic institutions. And although African American veterans were officially eligible for these benefits, the reality of a segregated school system and racial discrimination meant that relatively very few of them were able to take advantage of this piece of legislation. Although, and these numbers, if you think about them, I think what startled you as much as they startled me when I first read them. Although 1 million African Americans returned from the war, by 1946, only 100,000 blacks had applied for GI Bill benefits. Of that original 1 million veterans, only 2% of them were actually able to register for college. Systematic, generational discrimination affects what's happening right now in our classrooms. So historians talk about the Morrill Act helping to rebuild a nation. You hear this all the time. Rebuild the nation, the infrastructure of America. We hear that when we talk about our land-grant institutions. And the GI Bill certainly did expand the middle class in the 1950s. But the problem of access into higher education meant that people of color did not fully enjoy the benefits of those legislations. In fact, historians have argued that these types of programs actually widened economic inequality. Widened it because higher education became a prerequisite for skilled positions. Therefore, people of color who did not have access to these institutions and to the resources were disadvantaged more by growing moves toward more higher education in this country. Fortunately, the second half of the 20th century saw a new wave of progress, such as the Civil Rights Movement, Brown versus the Board of Education, and Title IX legislation. All of these measures codified access to higher education, and the Truman Commission of 1947 called out community colleges in a very specific way that we should be affordable and be community-based, and that poverty was keeping people from education. Poverty was keeping people from education. I might offer to you that we could take that quote out of the commission right now and reuse it right now. Poverty, #1 barrier to higher education in this country. It also named that community colleges should, quote, become keystones of national education policy and set the stage for massive growth in community colleges over the next 2 decades. The Truman Commission report did that. And this is where you started to see the proliferation of institutions of higher education, better known as then junior colleges and community colleges. Despite all this progress, though, by the end of the 20th century and into the 21st century, we still face a significant disparity in academic achievement in higher education. From where I sit, and this is, again, looking across the institution, the mission of achievement must be treated with the same amount of urgency that the mission of access did in the previous generation. Changes in demographics in our community and in our country demand this, and it's accelerating at rates that many of us can't get our head around. A labor competition from abroad still threatens a domestic job agenda, and for many without training or education, the recession has not ended. And they're just as vulnerable as they were 5 years ago. Many folks are just a paycheck away from being unable to pay their bills. This is the reality in contemporary America, and college students from low-income backgrounds are more dramatically impacted by these things. Statistically, they have the least chance of completing college. Low background, least chance of completing college. They are less likely to begin college, and they're less likely to finish. There's a problem right there. Less likely to begin and less likely to complete. The combination of these factors creates an imperative that we as an organization have to be tapped into and have to be thinking differently about how we do this work. Closing the achievement gap has been one of my priorities since I arrived. I talked about it in my inauguration speech, one of the first several speeches I gave here, and it has been in every major document that has come out of the organization. In fact, we call it out in our strategic plan. We have, I think, used this way as vocabulary, as creative vocabulary for us to talk about this gap as an institution. It's been very useful for us as we talk to other institutions, because there are many of us looking at this issue. This is an issue in higher education community colleges are looking at. For instance, I had the opportunity to join a group of our students and faculty and staff at the Black, Brown, and College Bound Conference in February. And when we talked achievement gap, we all knew what it was, right? We could all name it, we felt it, it gave us a common lexicon that we could use as an institution's, a shorthand per se, about these issues. But the truth is, and many of you know this since I've talked about it, I've always been a little uncomfortable with the word achievement gap, and particularly closing the achievement gap. It doesn't sit right with me for a lot of different reasons. We interviewed a student, a young woman who now is a coach in our ACES program, and they asked her what about her what would be some strategies to help address students who are at risk at Montgomery College? And you know, from what I understand, I wasn't in the interview, but I heard she kind of winced a little bit. And she came back with a comment that these students, she said, are not at risk, they are at promise. At promise. Oh, that gets you too? That gets me. She said they are at promise. And since that moment I heard that story, that has been a little bit of a light bulb in my head about how we have to think about this work. We need to be talking about the promise of these students and how we as an institution are going to develop that promise. Not the deficits. We already have lots of data on that. There are reams and reams and reams of study about the deficit approach to how we think about the achievement gap. We instead, I think, need to be focusing on the achievement of these students and helping them achieve the potential that they already have as a student. We want them to live up to the promise that's inside of them. The promise that's inside of them. The gap, I think, focuses on what's missing, right? It's a deficit mentality, and I think that we're now in a place to understand the historical, cultural, economic factors that have gotten us to this situation. So it's time, I think, to focus on solutions as an organization, to think about how we talk about this in a way that has a combination of promise and hope and reality. For me, I think it's time that we start to look at the promise that's critical to the student experience, the promise that our community needs our students to have. We need to talk about the promise that that young woman who's one of our ACES coaches talks about when she thinks about who our students are. Let's focus on achievement that's going to happen from this point forward at Montgomery College. Let's bring on a new angle about this work. Dare I say, maybe we need to recall closing the achievement gap to achieving the promise. Achieving the promise. Now, I know a few of y'all are gonna say, you call it something different, right? Achievement gap, closing the promise. You come up with all different types of different ways of saying it. For me, though, I think the words have power. They have meaning, call it the linguist in me, but the idea when you name something, a name can be a burden, it can be a blessing. It could be a way of seeing and interpreting the world, or it could be a lens by which we interpret someone else's experience. I think that words can have weight, and they can quash people. They could quell their expectations and their reality. So for me, the idea of saying that we are achieving the promise of what higher education is supposed to be, what community colleges are supposed to do, what Montgomery College can and should be doing in this community, demands a different way of naming and calling it out. So from this point forward, we're going to be doing and taking on some actions, I think, to address this. This will become one of, if not the most significant issues that we address at the organization for the next several years. Let me share some of these things with you. First, we're going to begin collecting data and posting it publicly. Yep, collecting data. So some of y'all are like, what? My board chairman's eyes got real big. We have created a scorecard of indicators that track student progress and achievement at Montgomery College. Starting on day one, it will follow students' patterns in enrollment, progress, and completion. For example, gateway courses have been a hurdle for many of our students here at Montgomery College, so we're going to closely track and see if interventions actually make a difference. Student retention has been a significant issue. We talked about that, people who start and don't complete, and particularly with certain student groups. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. Simply put, students who don't stay enrolled consistently don't tend to complete their programs. Duh. But we have to know the data in order to really address the issue. And since completion is one of our markers of success, we will track how long it takes a student to complete different programs and how many credits they accumulate to graduation. I do not want to see a student graduating with 85 credits at Montgomery College for a 60-credit associate's degree. We know there's some programs that have more, but on average 60. There's a problem with then how we are helping them navigate the system to get to where they need to go as an institution. We will separate these out by race, gender, age, and other variables to gain insight into patterns of achievement at Montgomery College. And we're going to do this for certificates, degrees, and transfer students because this is a college-wide initiative, front and center. You have to know your data if you want to change your data. You have to know it. So it's going to be a play. We're figuring out strategies where you can't walk across this institution without knowing your numbers. So when somebody asks us about completion and retention, not only will we know it as an institutional level, but those of us who are in specific programs of study will know our numbers and be able to talk about what initiatives have pushed the agenda. So while you're going to see some traditional metrics in here about graduation rates, transfer rates, time to award, credits to award, and a few related factors, you will also see a lot of progression data. How many students are passing a course? How many students return to college after one semester? How many students successfully complete developmental requirements? How many students reach credit milestones? And whether students have taken gateway courses within a certain amount of time to allow them to be successful here. The goal of these measures is to ensure that we have actionable information about how our students experience this organization so that we can develop interventions to help move them along their pathway. We're going to look at where we need to make adjustments and how we're going to position ourselves as an organization for those students. This will be a very ambitious, visible initiative, and I hope that it will motivate us as we think about the work of workforce development and achieving the promise for many of our students. A famous inventor, Charles Kettering, once said, "High achievement always takes place in the framework of high expectation." That's what we're going to create with this new scorecard. If we're serious about moving the dial, if we're serious about crafting a different environment for student success, let's state it boldly. Let's make sure that we are completely aligned with this, and we're going to state it publicly so that we can have data and systematically look at that data and own it in a way that we have to as an organization. We're going to own this process instead of letting it own us, because the reality about this is not going away. Whether it be our state or local funders, our state or federal regulatory agencies, or our regional accreditors or other specialized accreditors, they're all here asking the same question. And if we can figure out a way that we want to tell them how to do it versus waiting for them to tell us how it should be done, I think we're in a better position as an organization. Robin always says, I don't like to be told nothing. It's kind of the same thing here. I don't like to have somebody else define my reality. We as an organization can do that ourselves. We have to decide to get in front of this movement or wait and be flattened by it as an organization. I don't think that's the way we want to do it, and certainly not why I'm sitting in this position. So the reality about this is that we're going to already look at how we align our processes we have here. Many of you are already looking at data and metrics. We're going to be seeing a lot more about this in the future. At your departments and program levels, you're going to see data, and you're going to grapple with that data. As we start our self-study this fall, we'll be starting our next periodic accreditation. It is very critical that we have a good understanding of how we approach this and integrate these processes in very thoughtful ways. I want to emphasize that we're going to look at this data in the achievement gap, achieving the promise every year. This is something it's not a one-time thing, hop in, hop out. We're going to look at this every year and seeing if we're pushing the dial as an organization as it relates to these populations. All the work I think that we've been doing for the last 5 years, the restructuring, redesigning, all of the things that we've had to do, is all positioning us, I think, to move from this point into a very different space of catapulting student success in a very direct way. Accountability in higher education is on the rise, and we don't have the luxury of stepping away from it. In fact, if we're going to meet this challenge, we're going to have to do some things differently as an organization and approach the work differently, because the consequences are high and they're not going away. The second major thing I'm going to announce today that we're going to do is to have a team, budget permitting, who is going to have the responsibility of synthesizing all the efforts around achievement at the college. They're going to be looking at this data. Now, for the past 2 years, we've had task forces. We had a Closing the Achievement Gap task force that had, 80-some people on it. Then we had an implementation team that had another, I don't know how many people they have on there, 80, another 80 people, 50, I don't know. They all came forth, and we've been doing this for the last 2 years, working on how we're going to approach the achievement gap. But they were doing this in addition to their regular work. Oh. I think that was an amen. So we're going to put a team in place whose sole purpose is to orchestrate these diverse efforts and to document them and bring them into harmony across the organization. This step has been a long time in coming, and I'm serious about getting it done so that we all can talk about achievement in some very different ways. Third, we're going to continue the excellent work that's already being done at the organization to support students. We'll continue our college preparation success program, such as ACES, that's allowing us to make transformative work in the lives of students. We're going to continue that work, and I'm proud to say that we have 3 full-time ACES coaches on each of our campuses, and even more scholarships based on some phenomenal philanthropy that our advancement and community engagement area has been done. In fact, over the last month, we have been able to raise $600,000 for that program simply based on that work. That demands some applause. We will continue programs that we began this year, such as placing 30 STEM learning assistants who've been directly in classrooms, working with students who are at risk and having problems, students who are at promise. We have people working on financial planning for students and a scholarship drive. In fact, we've had a 61% increase in the number of applications for Montgomery College Foundation scholarships. So that tells you about the fact that people need the money. We're going to help find a strategy to get that money for them. We'll continue expanded faculty tutoring at our learning centers for those students who need extra help. And we're going to implement an intrusive advising system that allows us to get in the face of students and meet them where they are and help them get on pathways as quickly as we can and help them reach their goals as quickly as they can. In fact, we've purchased an early alert module for our Starfish system that allows us to track students and provide a more holistic advising module. I can't wait till we implement that across the institution. And a student, they pick up their phone and they get an alert that says, ooh, you know what, you got some challenges right here. You need to come see somebody about this work. Get in their faces. Yeah, that's the south side of Chicago coming out of me. Finally, we're going to help our students create a culture of achievement amongst their peers, and we're calling it the Student Campaign. One of the things that we often do is think as adults, we know everything. We have students who have been successful in navigating this institution. Why don't we channel their efforts and help them empower their peers? We're going to recruit student leaders. We're going to give them stipends through student services, and we're going to put them in a place to mentor their colleagues and to advise the institution on academic achievement and how they can help students empower themselves. Whether that's being paternalistic and tell them how they have to do it, we can do that sometimes. But we have to figure out how we empower students to do that themselves. Of course, we're continuing mentoring programs such as Sister to Sister and Boys to Men and the Growing Alma program. We're going to look at how we can use mentoring to make a difference in the lives of our students. Because I can tell you personally, sometimes it only takes one interested, invested adult to change the trajectory of a life of a student. One person who expressed something to them and said, let me figure out how to get you right on path. I understand satisfactory academic progress because a financial aid person set me down at Iowa State University and told me that I would not be continuing if I did not start passing more classes. That's a powerful interaction. Powerful interaction. So we want to do that. And we also know that our students' lives are impacted by these adults. I had the opportunity to meet a young man while we were at the Black, Brown, and College Bound conference who really I just connected, I just adopted him because his story, I think, just reflects so many lives of our students, and he was kind enough to allow me to share a part of it here today. Jamil Sally and his sisters found themselves in the foster care system in South Central Los Angeles during the most formative years of their lives. It would have been easy with so many distractions and instability for Jamil to lose sight of his promise of going to college, but he was lucky. He was invited to participate in a program called C5LA, a 5-year leadership development program that followed him through his final years of school and showed him that there was a life outside of South Central. The program encouraged him to apply to magnet school and planted the seeds of college ambition. I'll let Jamil tell his own story.
All I knew was South Central. All I knew was Vermont Slauson and the neighborhood within my walking radius, because anywhere else was too far or too foreign. At the time, I was on a road of not graduating middle school. I graduated high school in California, and I was looking for different places to go. The schools that I applied to and hoped to get into denied me. They rejected me. And so I said, oh, well, my options are out, and I was kind of sick of being in the foster care system. No one wants to look at a social worker every week. No one. I just turned 18. I was trying to become more of an adult and fill my role. I felt as if it was time for me to connect back with my family and to make, in some way, my support network. And without support, it's very hard to do things. My mother is a 5th-generation Washingtonian, and so our family has been in the DC area for a very long time. I could see myself here at Montgomery College, but I didn't ever imagine I'd be where I am now. It's just my 2nd semester, and I'm involved in so many different things and have my foot in just about every door that's open. I participate in the Boys to Men program. When I was in California, the reason why I was able to move from the rowdy school that I initially was at to a school that's a bit more transformative was because of a program and my involvement in that program. So I said, oh, well, here's a great opportunity for me to hit the floor running. Now that I look at college as a means, I'm more so trying to discover what is my ultimate goal or ambition. What do I hope for in my life? And how can I use what my natural talents are, what I'm comfortable doing, and what I find, what my heart is comfortable with doing. My journey is taking me on a roller coaster ride. And it's not over. As a matter of fact, I think it just started, or it's beginning to start just now.
I think his ride is just starting its ascent, don't you think? Those of you who had the opportunity to meet Jamil, literally we were at a presentation at the conference and he turned to me, I made several observations, and those of you know that sometimes you can distract, you think you can do 2 things at one time, so I thought I was talking to Jamil and I was doing a text or tweet or something, and then he said something, I said, this brother is talking about ontology and epistemology, I need to sit up and look. And I had to put down one of the most engaging conversations that I've probably had, and I don't know how long, about the nature of how and why we do this work. So Jamil is only one of several students that we have at Montgomery College that we're trying to meet them where they are and trying to help them change the circumstances that life brought them to us, but oftentimes help them get to where they need to be. Jamil could have easily been left behind, as so many students that we have at this institution, but programs like C5 in Los Angeles and an English teacher that he told us about off camera, and now our Boys to Men program at Montgomery College is making a difference in his life and empowering him. I think that Montgomery College is the next step in the critical network for so many students of support, just like we are hopefully for Jamil. So our responsibility is to meet him where he is and then invest in his promise as an institution to help him get to where he'd like to go, to help that roller coaster continue where it's going. As part of this push and to ensure that the community college is fully aware of our work around achieving the promise to close the gap, I'd like to say that we're going to engage everyone in this work. We're going to hold forums on the Achievement Initiative at 4 locations. You can see them. There are 8 scheduled right now at the Gaithersburg Business Training Center, the Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus, the Germantown campus, and on the Rockville campus. I'd like as many of you as you can, here and virtually, to attend as much as you can so that you can understand the important nature of this work and how we're going to approach it and to be engaged with the data. I already had a shot about how they're going to talk about the data. We've got to know our data if we're going to be able to make any movement in this work. Achieving the promise is a high priority for me personally, but also for our county as a whole. And the more that we can get engaged in this work as an institution, the more that we'll be able to see that we're making an impact. So I've talked quite a bit here. Did I do all right? Did I keep you awake? So let me conclude this way, and there's a few thoughts I'd like to leave with. Before I do, I want to say thank you. It's not in the speech. I'm going off text. Don't freak out in the truck. I really want to thank a few people who made today possible. If you see our MCTV people, they are absolutely phenomenal. They always make me sound good and look good. I keep wanting to lower my voice a little bit so I can get that Kathleen Turner thing going, but they're working on it. I want to thank our communications team, all of them who have done outstanding work in making sure that this came together. When I call and change something, they didn't panic in front of my face. They would get it done. Our institutional research team, who had to put together this scorecard and did such an outstanding job in that. Megan, who took an idea and figured out how to make it have words. Thank you so much for that. And then Steve Kane, who kind of orchestrates this whole thing so that I don't see the crazy. I really want to thank each and every one of you for doing that. So I want to conclude by saying that we've spent a lot of decades in higher education talking about access. We want to think about how people could get into higher education, and we've done and had some success in that. We fought hard in that regard, and there's still work to be done, but we have done a lot of work in that. We had to make sure that students are achieving inside the classroom right now is just as critical right now, just as critical as we need to do this work. In our current climate, academic achievement is an economic imperative. Maybe that's the tagline for this. It is an economic imperative. Our graduates will not succeed if they don't have job-ready skills that will allow them to move into that. And for us, these demands are changing rapidly every day. How many of us are doing jobs we didn't even know were possible a few years ago, or hearing about jobs? We have to keep our fingers on the pulse of dozens of industries that are affecting the lives of our students, and we have to be nimble enough and agile enough to respond to them. This is a 21st century reality for higher education. We won't have the luxury anymore of just kind of waiting. We're going to have to be aggressive and be there in the forefront. I would tell you, though, this is one thing that community colleges know how to do. We know how to do it well. Now we just have to do it maybe on steroids. At the nexus of workforce development and student achievement, there's a powerful multiplying effect that occurs there. Not only will our students grow intellectually through higher education, but they will gain a foothold on the ladder of opportunity. They will be prepared to compete for skilled jobs and be ready to do that work and contribute to the local economy. That's how Montgomery College serves the entire community. When our mission of empowering students is tied to workforce demands and a firm commitment to achievement, our vision comes full circle as an organization. These are the goals that we will be working toward in the coming year. And I'm excited about this opportunity. It's a challenge, certainly enough. There are going to be some roadblocks along the way and some opportunities for us to stumble. I have no doubt about that. But I'm also confident as an organization that we have the capacity and the ability to do this work. As I said many times before, in every one of these state of the colleges, I am proud of the current state of our college. We're strong. I would also end by telling you that Montgomery College is a bold institution. Montgomery College is a proud institution. We are a transformational institution. And dare I say, we are a mighty force as an institution when we put our mind to it. So as I shared with you in October of 2010, when I talked to the college community, I'll tell you that let's not suffer from a poverty of ambition. Let's be unafraid to shine. Let's not play small. Let's be phenomenal. Let's be the most relevant community college in the country. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Mike. Sit down. I'm going to sit down.
Well, thank you, Dr. Pollard.
Thank
Wonderful. We're now going to move into the question and answer period. We'll start with a question from online, but we encourage questions from here in the room. Just wait until I get to you with this microphone before you ask your question. All right, the first question is an email question. I understand that we asked for $15 million new dollars. The county executive recommended $3 million. Your top two priorities seem to be compensation and achievement gap. If you don't get all the money you hope for, which of these is the first priority?
That's a great question. So let me just do one thing before I answer it. One person I forgot to thank, and it's because I always take them for granted because they do this job so well, is our special events team. I see Susan standing there. I want to thank you very much as well. What I love about this question is because one of the things that we often tell our legislators, and I spend a lot of time telling this, is that your budget reflects your values, right? Not only does it talk about your priorities, it reflects your values. So I'd like to think that I'm hopefully doing both of those things by doing two things. One is that we have certainly prioritized compensation and benefits for our employees. The board has been very clear about their belief that our employees are indeed why and how we do this work here at Montgomery College. And I have been tasked to make sure that we get as much as we can from the county, and I will do that. At the same time, I'd like to think the achievement gap is also done because we have employees who are fully engaged, well compensated, and understand the role they play within the educational achievement space. So I'm very hopeful that we can do both of those things. Now, the additional money that we've asked for as well to help us call out specifically work around the achievement gap, I already know, I see Preston in the back. Some of them have already been told, it's a matter of figuring out what we're not going to do as well, right? So here's a dirty little secret. Those of you who appreciate this, in higher education, we do the arithmetic of addition very well. We add on, right? We add on. We say, oh, let's figure this out. Let's go talk to Dave and get some special money so we can add it on, right? Right? What we don't do equally well is the arithmetic of subtraction. So it is going to require us as an organization to figure out what we're not going to do in order to have these priorities. If we want to have well-compensated employees, if we want to ensure that we are meeting the demands and we have an economy, an economic impact, and we also recognize that we have students who are not able to be successful, we want to figure out how we do this, these are priorities. We're also going to figure out what we're not going to do. And that's a very serious conversation. And we've already, in this year's budget, cut out $6 million. Already did that before we even put the budget in place. So we're going to be looking at opportunities to do more of that. But I think the other implicit question, underlying point in that question, as an organization, we have to figure out how to create a sustainable path for the future. A sustainable path. Funding for higher education is a very different place. Our county economic prospects are very different. Sustainability is something we're going to have to be thinking about very deeply. Thank you for the question.
All right, we have another email question. This one comes from Joanna Howard, English professor at Rockville.
Hello, Joanna.
She wants to know, with the emphasis on deploying metrics, will there be professional development opportunities for faculty and staff to learn concepts and terminology?
Very much so. Thank you for that question, because one of the things that we often do well, again, in higher education, we initiate new ideas and new concepts. We don't take time to grow the people who have to implement them. So our wonderful team in HR STEM and CPOT and others, and our Mike Mills and our Teaching and Learning Center, they're already putting together workshops for next year that look and talk about data. I know that Dr. Rai has charged very specifically deans and department chairs as they're looking at the metrics and aligning them throughout their areas. How do these look at? How do we start talking about these when we have department meetings? How do we create common understandings of what certain pieces of information mean? That's part of the intention of the scorecard, is to actually craft a common vocabulary around success at the institution. So the short answer to the question was yes. The long answer is everything else I just said.
Have a question over here?
Yes, sir. Dr. Day.
Have a stand up for us, please.
How are we going to enlarge the definition of completion to include the hundreds and hundreds of engineering students, for instance, who don't get a degree but who transfer successfully to the University of Maryland or elsewhere?
Yes.
And they're not counted in the statistics right now at all.
They're not counted in iPads. And there was actually a great piece today, I think, in the Community College Times that actually talked about this. And this is why institutions and various agencies are crafting their own strategies, because IPASS is not adapted. Right now, they simply say that they only count completion with those students who are first-time, full-time, degree-seeking students, and they have a certain, who complete within 2 years. The reality is that most of our students, I think it's 3 actually, most of our students don't do that. Most of our students attend part-time, and as you so ably point out, many of our students transfer before they reach a degree. So what we have to do is start talking about completion much more holistically. Our graduation rate at Montgomery College is this. Our completion rate is a combination of graduation and transfer together. So what you hear me say when I go out in different places, I actually use the whole number. And then I love Marcus one day said, well, if you actually expand that to include students who go part-time over 4 years, that number even grows more. So we have to start changing the definitions and stop allowing people to put us in this space. Part of this scorecard, and you'll see, actually I think the link went live a couple of hour ago, allows people to see, okay, looking at transfer and graduation together, that is the institution's completion, and to call it out, because that's what we do very well, particularly at Montgomery College, and our engineering program is outstanding at that. So thank you for the question, Dr. Day.
All right, we have a two-part email question related to the scorecard that you just referenced. What do you want to accomplish with the scorecard?
Okay. The first part of that is to make us aware of the issues. At the end of the day, as an institution, we can't possibly understand how we can push the needle on certain types of initiatives that we claim are going to help student success without looking at the data to advance student success and know if that's indeed the case. So first of all, is to know our data. And secondly, to look at ways that there are maybe populations and issues that we're not thinking about that the data would force us to look at. Part of this is to be comfortable with we are very good at crafting narratives. You know, I can say this. You give me something, I can figure out how to tell a story about it. The question is, does the data support that or confound what you said? And that's what it is. So we're trying to craft a common understanding of who we are as an institution, and then to use that for awareness and to build additional programs and support.
Part two of the same question is, how will faculty and staff be involved with the new scorecard?
Thank you for that. The second part of that is that we're going to be actually starting with the forums that the folks who've been working on the achievement gap work, they're actually going to go out and talk to various constituencies through their open forums. I know one of the first examples that they're going to use is about data and having people grapple with that data. And then the other thing we're going to be doing about this is aligning it through department reviews, program review, and other areas within the institution. This isn't something that's just going to pop up and say, oh, here we are, it's done. This is something that we have to align throughout every part of the organization to truly know if what we say we're going to be doing and what we are doing, do we have the data to say that? We often talk about the fact that we are very good at many different things, right? The data should support that. And if there are areas where we're not doing as well as we should be, the data should know that as well. So we're going to start talking about data. I do know I'm looking at Ms. Blackwell, who is on our board, challenged me the other day. We were talking about the student success policy, and she said to me, how are we holding people accountable? That's a board member talking to the president who's going to be talking to you about how we are holding people accountable for this work. How do we build it into our review processes, our appraisal processes, and ways in which we look at to ensure, and more importantly, as our budget and finance people will say, how are we aligning our finances in a way to demonstrate that this work is actually being done in a way to push the needle on student success.
We have time for just one more question.
Sure.
And it's a complex one.
Uh-oh.
A lot of campuses are dealing with problems of sexual assault and harassment. How are we working to prevent/manage these issues?
Sure. So they are correct. This is a national issue right now. In fact, I was at a meeting yesterday, and while I was sitting there, it popped up that the University of Virginia had just passed a 20-page or 18-page sexual misconduct policy. And I said, wow. And I said, we had them beat. Our policy is 20-some pages. Because we have foresight in this. We have an excellent compliance team, general counsel team, and our student services and HR team worked several months ago to put together a policy on misconduct, sexual misconduct, and to address this very directly. Our board approved a policy a few months ago on this issue. We have procedures that are going to promulgate that policy. A huge part of sexual misconduct is training. So we have an obligation from our regulatory bodies that we have to demonstrate that every student, I'm looking at Gwen because Dr. Dungy, we have to know that every student has received training as it relates to sexual misconduct and assault. So we have purchased software that allows us to do that. We have to document that every employee has had access to that training and who has done it and who has not. That's the first way you address these issues. And then you start to talk about a culture around these issues in some very thoughtful ways. I'll share with you, we don't have residence halls. That is something that helps us a lot in this area. We do, though, have a very large student population spread across many campuses and locations, so we have to think very deliberately about how we do this work. And the last thing I'll say is that the state of Maryland, there are several pieces of legislation that are likely passed before this end of the session that are going to impact us even more on these issues.
All right, Dr. Pollard, any closing remarks, any final remarks before we say goodnight?
I'd just like to say thank you to each of you. You are such a wonderful audience. Thank you those who are online viewing. I certainly hope that we'll continue the conversation because it's not going away. Visit the website of the scorecard. Look at the data, start getting your head around it because I guarantee you it won't be the last time you see it. And thank you very much. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Dr. Pollard, and thank you to all of you for joining us for the 2015 State of the College Address. The video of the address will be available for viewing at montgomerycollege.edu/state-of-the-college. And of course, as always, you can always visit the President's website for details and information. Thank you again for joining us for the 2015 State of the College Address.